yes, winter is the best season. We're building that, and like that can only be done in the winter. Having a winter cabin in the summer would be silly. Come on now. Build this winter cabin with me. This build literally got birthed into existence, and the first thing that I thought about it was, oh my god, I'm gonna use those birch cat scratcher items from Cats and Dogs. And the build was like, no, please, I've just been born. Don't you want to talk about my composition a little bit more? And I was like, no. No, I don't. Like, why? So basically all you need to know is that the entire shape of this, the roofing and everything, was based solely upon the fact that I was going to do like a little gable decoration with the birch thing from Cats and Dogs. Sorry to all the cat sims that are going to be meowing like furiously at the roof of this house, being like, meow, why can't I scratch it? Like, you know when you have a sim and then there's like a clay blob or something somewhere inaccessible and the sim is like, The sims want those clay blobs so bad, dude. Almost like the future cube. But I feel like the most distracted sim I ever had was this one sim I had that was like living in Sulani. He was living his best life as an archaeologist, and he'd be at like his little jungle adventure archaeology table, and there was a basketball net on the lot, and he'd be like working on his archaeology bench, and then suddenly he'd be like, I need to ball. And I was like, can you not have your little Troy Bolton I need to ball / I need to be an archaeologist moment right now, because I really need you to be an archaeologist right now. Like, sir, this is rags to riches. I need you to get those dollars. Thank you. Basketball can wait. So the terrain part of this like driveway situation was a bit of a mess because it's kind of like lumpy and covered in snow like that. I'm not saying that it like doesn't look like cottage cheese. I feel like there's a lot of elements going into this. Oh yeah, and then after my brain was like, you will be using the birch stick from Cats and Dogs, I was like, okay. And then I was like, but what if I match that with that really light wood swatch from Horse Ranch? Then the ideas started cooking and I was like, okay, I see you there. But honestly, it's not a stretch because like I would do anything to use Horse Ranch, anything. I tried this little like roof system thing that like with windows and it did not work. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. One day the Sims will give us like triangular windows that'll fit perfectly on a gabled roof, but today isn't that day. So I was like, fine, I'll do it myself. Every time I quote that, I feel like I'm like not allowed to because I'm not like an Avengers Marvel girly. I have seen Deadpool 1 and Big Hero 6. And that is literally the end of the list. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I remember when Endgame came out and I looked up spoilers because I was being nosy. And my friend was like, if you tell me what those said, I will end you and enjoy it. Oh yeah, and I'll hear no words on the 3 chimneys on this build because I've been doing that on like every single build recently where I've just added like 50 billion chimneys for absolutely 0 reasons because there will literally be like 1 fireplace or not even any. I'm like, I just need a chimney like for the composition. Do it for the vine. Do it for the composition. So after fighting with the window some more, I added the little decorations on the roof from Snowy Escape for the composition. And in this moment, I was grateful that I did like a low slope roof because when you do a high one, you try to add like roof decor onto it, it just turns black for some reason. I don't know why it does that and I get so angry. Cause you know, with the vibe of the birch sticks, it could have been enticing to do like a tall, really like Nordic type situation with a roof, but I didn't because in the back of my mind, there was a little me saying, if you do that, it's gonna turn black and you're gonna get mad. And I was like, oh, thanks for the advice. You're so wise. So the birch stick situation has finally begun. I was being experimental with the angles because tool mod is always like a guessing game. I don't know if it's supposed to feel that way, but it always is anyway. Like an item will be floating and I'll be like, oh yes, that is 0.432 degrees off the ground. I shall lower it because I know what I'm doing. Or like when you want to scale a TV because you're like, oh, this could stand to be a little bigger, you know, I'm making like a large house. That could be a little fun. And then you turn it into like a drive-in theater and you're like, that is not what I meant. And Toolmod is literally like, ma'am, this is a Wendy's. I just work here. And I'm like, that's great, Toolmod. Can you teach me how to use your move feature? And it's like, no. And I'm like, okay, great, thanks. So this was supposed to be like a faux garage for like a snowmobile or something. And I don't know why that couldn't live in the other garage, but I guess it needed its own unique garage, probably because of the composition, but that's fine. You think I remember that design choice? That's hilarious. I originally had more birch sticks in this build than I do in like the finished version because I looked at it and it looked at me and I was like, there's too many sticks. Randy, your sticks. So I toned it down to 3 rounds of sticks, okay? That's an appropriate amount. And there's another round of sticks in the back, but those aren't important. That's specifically for those people that like go onto gallery posts and they're like, this is a great build, but can I see the back? And I'm like, Like, you could download it and look at it yourself. I know what you're insinuating here. So, like, fine, have your crumb of sticks if you think that it makes the build pretty. Like, there's, like, a huge majority of comments in the gallery that are, like, wonderful and beautiful and so kind. And then the other percentage just, like, ages me, you know? It's all like very pretty, but I don't have those packs. Nice house, but that's expensive. Those aren't the dining room chairs I would have put. And it all boils down to, like, you know, it's on the gallery now. You can just change it. Like, I trust you to make the changes that you want to do. It's okay. Anyway, the backyard has, like, this infinity pool. Huh? Is that even what an infinity pool is? An infinity pool, also called infinity edge pool, zero edge pool, overflow pool, or spillover pool, is a reflecting pool or swimming pool where the water flows over one or more edges, producing a visual effect of water with no boundary. Okay, so kind of? I guess it didn't need to be glass, but I made it glass anyway. This is how I realized I didn't know what an infinity pool was. It just means that the like one edge is touching like raw air instead of like the ground, I guess. Glass optional. And I literally didn't know this, but when I was building this, I was doing research into like, why are my Sims dying in the pool all the time? Oh my god, it's winter and they're freezing. But if you put little hot springs vents in there from Get Together, they just don't. Like, then it's heated. And I feel so silly for not knowing that because Get Together came out in 2015. 2015 was the same year that, like, white and gold dress was on the internet. Left Shark was at the Super Bowl that year. That's how long ago this was. This was pre-Harambe. And then I had to sit with the fact that I had to look at this build in not winter because I built it in Moonwood Mill and it's not always winter there, so I was like, fine, I'll make it look good in other seasons, I guess. But I wasn't happy about it. I do think it'd be cool to have a new world that was like all winter all the time, like how Mount Karabi is in that one neighborhood. But I feel like so many people are like, I hate snow. Snow is bad. Snow hurt me. And I'm like, okay, Lucy Greybeard, reel it in. I kept the landscaping simple because it's supposed to be like in the middle of nowhere cabin type vibes. Like you have to drive up there. The driveway's probably like obscenely long. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you might see a moose or a deer and like outside your window will probably be like a rabbit or a mothman. You never know. Until Dawn vibes, but like hopefully everybody that's visiting lives. Except Chris. I know he didn't live the second time I played that game, and you know what? If that was his fate in the movie that's coming out, I would not cry that loud. But I did yell very loud when I didn't press the button in time and he died in the game. Anyway, it's a touch cozier than the one in Until Dawn. Like, you could probably snuggle up for a second or two in here. Maybe strum some winter indie tunes on your guitar. Thanks for hanging out, and if you want to watch another seasonal build, watch this one. It's a different season, but still cozy, I promise.